Hi, this is Ohad from ThinkUp. In the following video, I would like to show you how to build your startup more professionally. Remember, most startups fail, and we would like to increase your chances of success. Building your startup more professionally means clearly defining your problem and making sure it's real, presenting your planned solution to your target audience and making sure you get positive feedback, making sure your market is big enough, and making sure you have something truly unique. We want to make sure that you're on the right path to product market fit, you have a big opportunity lying ahead of you, and you have good chances of long-term success. We will be showcasing this on our platform, which is an AI-powered SaaS solution that leverages best practices and proven methodologies from the startup ecosystem. It guides you step by step to build your startup more professionally and more effectively. Our platform is built out of modules, or steps as we like to call them, where each step addresses a different topic. Upon onboarding, our solution uses your problem and solution definition in order to get to know you better. Then, when going through the various tasks, it references the most relevant LLM to provide suggestions. Let's go!
Today we're drawing inspiration from Pathpilot, the AI customer experience agent, as we walk you through the essential steps in building a successful startup. We've simulated the journey based on the solution definition, and to keep things efficient, we'll be using screenshots from our platform for reference. We're going to start the onboarding process with defining the problem and solution. In ThinkUp, we put great emphasis on defining the problem, since we think it's crucial for you to understand your customers' pains. So Pathpilot focuses on session replays and the time it requires to go through them and analyze them. Everyone who's familiar with session replay will probably resonate with this issue, and they want to ingest those replays into short, concise narratives, accurate summaries, and save you the time. So I think the problem and solution are quite clear. Next, we would like to define, to understand the industry segment into which we operate. So ThinkUp provides a couple of suggestions. I think the second one, the analytics, is more relevant. As we can see here, it's about interpreting data to provide actionable insights. So this wraps up the idea lineup. We've defined the problem, the solution, and the industry segment. Moving on to customer discovery. As the platform suggests, we've got two potential end users, the UX researcher and the product manager. They both use session replays. They're probably the decision makers, or let's say that the managerial levels of those roles are the decision makers. So we've got around 4 personas that we've identified. We can then dive deeper into one of them and identify the needs and pains. This will need to be validated later on. So we've completed the customer discovery. Let's move on to market overview. Let's use the top-down analysis. As you can see, ThinkUp immediately provides a few suggestions of market reports. Most of them show a total addressable market of around $300 billion, which is huge. But as we dive deeper into one of the market reports, which is provided by Fortune Business Insights, we can see that there are lots of segments that Pathpilot doesn't address. So we need to do a deeper analysis here in order to understand exactly which segments do we address. That's it for the market overview. Let's move on to user research. So we have two personas. We can focus on the product manager. ThinkUp platform provides the basis for the interview script, which we can then adjust and update. Let's see where we can find potential interviewees. So ThinkUp offers lots of meetup groups and Reddit channels. For this example, I've interviewed one of our own product managers. I've uploaded the interview recording, and the platform automatically analyzes and identifies the pains, the needs, and the alternative solution that that persona uses. That's it for user research. Let's move on to product concept. So the first task in product concept is defining the product statement, which will be the foundation for developing our product. Next, we need to define and specify the capabilities that we will provide for each persona. We will then need to implement those and present those in the demo and validate, make sure that it resonates with our target audience. We would like to crystallize the value proposition of the product, maybe to each persona. ThinkUp provides a few suggestions for value proposition, and we can use those. We will then use them to direct our product development and maybe for marketing purposes. That's it for product concept. Let's move on to competitive analysis. So as you can see, immediately ThinkUp provides a few competitors to analyze. We believe that all of them are direct competitors, even though we are not domain experts. This is just an example, might be wrong. We will then compare Pathpilot to each competitor and how each of them address the various persona needs that we've identified before. This is just an example. And then we get a positioning map that shows us where Pathpilot is positioned in comparison to other competitors. We can change the axis according to the user needs that we've identified before. We can also get a comparison table, whichever way suits you best to visualize the comparison. So let's move on to understand the startup advantage. We're going to craft the unique value proposition statement. So this is very similar to the value proposition itself because we think it is unique. It's about saving time and providing accurate summaries and insights. Let's see what is the competitive advantage. So we think the competitive advantage lies within the experienced team itself. Vladimir, one of the co-founders, was previously CEO, and he sold his company. That shows of a lot of business experience. We think it's quite rare. Not a lot of founders sell their companies. So that's it for the competitive analysis. Let's move on to product concept validation, where we defined the demo, the mockup, and we need to present it to potential customers and validate it. So we need to make some assumptions to test them. ThinkUp help us with understanding what the assumptions that could be right ones for us. It's either value assumptions, feasibility, or usability. And we can add some of our own. We want to rank them and see what happens, what is the risk if those assumptions are proved to be wrong, how will they impact our journey forward. We need to make sure to validate the most important assumptions, the most critical assumptions. So we're trying to build a test that will later on be used to validate the solution. We're configuring it, how it will be done. We'll not go into details right here in this video, maybe in future videos. Now, lastly, let's analyze the team. We've got two interesting founders. One is more technically oriented, one is more business, as we said before. Let's summarize what we've seen so far. So the problem and solution is quite clear and obviously has to be validated. The market, obviously, it's quite big, but it requires more detailed analysis to understand a specific segment that we've seen before. There is a lot of uniqueness in their value proposition. We haven't seen that in their competitors. However, it's a good question how hard it will be to imitate that value. And the team, as I said, highly technical, got some great business experience. Question is, do they have the product development experience that is required? That's it for Pathpilot. If you would like more information, please use these links. And remember, if you've got a great idea, sign up to ThinkUp and start your journey.